Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Emma. I'm very excited for today's video because I've had these books for so long and I've been waiting for so long to talk about them. I hope you're cozy because today's video is a giant cozy book haul. I'm also extremely excited to thank the sponsor for today's video, which is Audible. If you guys have been watching my videos for pretty much any length of time, you know that audiobooks are part of my daily life, my daily experience. It's my main way and sometimes my only way of consuming literature, and they hold such an important place in my world, period. In 2020, I listened to over 120 audiobooks. So let me tell you a little bit about them. If you have never heard of Audible, they are an extremely popular provider of spoken word entertainment, ranging of course from their well-known list of audiobooks, but also hosting a wide range of other things like podcasts. Audible has recently launched their newest plan called Audible Plus, and with Audible Plus, you are granted full access to the Plus catalog, which of course contains thousands and thousands of audiobooks, but also grants you access to things like Audible Originals, ad-free versions of shows, and exclusive series. The Audible app is completely 100% free to download, and it's easily installable on any smartphone or tablet device. With the Audible Plus membership, you can also listen offline no matter what time you're in or place you're in. As for myself, I'm currently listening to Snow Country by Yasunari Kawabata. This classic, oh my gosh, it traces basically the muteness and the muffled landscape of an isolated mountain hot spring. Also chronicles the tragic love affair, because this classic is a tragedy between the wealthy man Shimamura, who comes from Tokyo and begins to develop this relationship with a geisha named Komako. It's absolutely devastating in like the particular way of how subtle it is and how tragic it is. This book is one that deals so much with contrast, especially the contrast of color. Obviously we have the white sparkling snow of the mountains, and it's paired with so much lush description. I'm loving it so much. It's the perfect complement to the snowy days we're having here. If you would like to start your 30-day free trial of Audible, the links are in the description, and you can go to audible.com/Emmy. That's audible.com/Emmy, or you can text Emmy to 500 500. Once again, thank you Audible so much for sponsoring this video. Thank you so much. I love audiobooks. I love them so much. I'm so glad they're part of our human experience, because I don't know what I'd do if they weren't. Let me go grab my huge stack of books to talk about with you guys. I have a lot of them. I've wound up with quite the big book haul to show you today. I'm gonna get right into it with a very quick but extremely heartfelt and huge thank you to so many lovely people who sent me books. A lot of these have been accumulated over a period of a couple months, because I think my last book haul was in October, but regardless, I did recently acquire a whole bunch of books that I did not acquire all by myself. So some of these come from a couple thrift trips that I did before we went into lockdown, and then, like I said, a lot of these come from lovely people. Thank you so gosh darn much. Oh my gosh, I'm absolutely completely in love with every single one of them, so let's just jump right into it. I tried my best to list all of the books I will be mentioning down below in the description box. Probably took me quite a bit of time, but if you would like to snoop around and just see them all in one place, they should all be down there. So I'm gonna kick it off with 3 books very briefly, because I of course have started collecting a collection of Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux, and you guys sent me more editions. So the first one I have here is the Arcturus edition. I have not yet had the chance to pick it up myself, so thank you so much. This one is beautiful. I have really been loving the Arcturus cover designs for a long time. I'm not particularly enthralled with the what's on the inside. I don't find it particularly nicely readable, if that makes sense. I don't really want to go on a rant about like typeface and fonts, but Phantom of the Opera, this cover is just stunning. I love it. Thank you so much. And then I was also sent the Penguin Popular Classics edition, which of course is this lovely lime green. So that is that one. I'm so excited to put them with the rest of my editions up on the topmost shelf of my bookshelf. And then this one hails all the way from Paris, France. Thank you so much. This cover was actually designed by a very lovely subscriber. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see just how brilliant and beautiful it is, but essentially she took off the actual cover that this French edition came with. I don't know if I said that. It is in French, which I'm so stoked about because I haven't read it in French since elementary school, when my class actually put on the play in grade 8. So I'm quite excited about being able to return to it in French because I've been meaning to get my hands on a French copy for so long. And I'm so excited that it's here. So this is what it looks like. Thank you so much for your beautiful design. I absolutely adore every single thing about this. So that is the last one. I'm in love. Thank you guys so much. All right, so jumping right into the rest of them. The first book I have here is called Maiden Hair, and it is by Mikhail Shishkin, I'm not quite sure, I'm so sorry, but of course this is a piece of Russian literature. This one is translated by Marian Schwartz, and I'm not really sure what this is about. I know we're following, it looks like, a number of interviews between Russian asylum seekers and interpreters and the Swiss officers who guard the gates to paradise, and tell of the atrocities they suffered or that they've invented or heard from someone else. So essentially it looks like these are stories of escape, war, violence, families being torn apart. I'm not too sure what the context for this is, but it says on the back that it is an instant classic of Russian literature, so I'm very intrigued, having not previously heard of this one before. It's absolutely beautiful, and I love Russian literature, so very happy to have this in my life as well. When I was at a thrift store, I picked up this copy of The Hobbit by Tolkien because I just really loved this cover. I think it is absolutely so beautiful. I had never seen this cover before. It's very inviting, very whimsical. It looks so cozy, and I feel like it just perfectly captures The Hobbit. I have read The Hobbit before, but it was when I was quite young, and all I remember from it is the scene in the forest with like the dangling spiders, and I remember a few people like rolling in barrels down a river, and that's kind of all I remember. Of course I know what this is about. We're following Bilbo Baggins, and one day a whole bunch of dwarves come knocking at his door, eat all his food, and take him on an adventure. So I'm really looking forward to getting back into it, is what I'm trying to say. And it also came with like this bonus, I don't know if you can see it, Pirates of the Caribbean sticker on the inside. So thank you, Nicholas, who owned this before me. Thanks for the bonus sticker, but I'm very happy to have this in my life once again. All right, Murakami makes his first appearance because we have Dance, Dance, Dance. I'm so excited. I think what I want to do and what I'm really looking forward to do on kind of my next Murakami read, I just want to go through all of his works chronologically. I'm not too sure where Dance, Dance, Dance fits into that formula, but I know there's a few definitely before this that I would love to get my hands on and just see how his writing evolves. So Dance, 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 I'm honestly just going to read you the little blurb on the back because it just screams like Murakami to me. It reminds me a little bit of After Dark, which still remains one of my favorite of his works, but the back just says, high-class call girls billed to MasterCard, a psychic 13-year-old dropout with a passion for talking heads, a hunky matinee idol doomed to play dentists and teachers, a one-armed beach-combing poet, an uptight hotel clerk, and one very bemused narrator caught in the web of advanced capitalist mayhem. So I'm so excited. Oh, maybe I wanted to read you guys the first sentence of each of these because I used to do that, and it's always quite fun. The first one, the first sentence, chapter 1, I often dream about the Dolphin Hotel. So let me read you the first sentence of The Hobbit as well because I'm just too excited about it. Okay. Chapter 1, an unexpected party. In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit. Yes. Okay, I can just tell you Phantom of the Opera, it's the Phantom of the Opera really existed. So, okay. Interviews start at 8 in the morning. Next, I have a group of books here that I'm just gonna run through very quickly because they're all by the same author. I'm so excited to have more of his work on my shelf. And these are all actually books by Khalil Gibran. So first up, First up, we have Jesus, the Son of Man. This is the little pocket library edition. I believe this is Gibran describing Jesus through a host of different narratives, from his enemies to his friends, from his like disciples to rulers and people who condemned him. So it should be really interesting seeing his prose in this. That is the first little one we've got, and then let's just go through these ones. So we have The Voice of the Master, we have Mirrors of the Soul, Timeless Wisdom, we have The Wisdom of Gibran, we have Thoughts and Meditations, we have Spiritual Sayings, and last but certainly not least, we have A Self-Portrait, which is going to be so interesting. I'm so excited for this. I am really looking forward to reading all of these. Definitely one of my favorite authors that I discovered in 2020, so yeah. I'm still in my pajamas and I'm very cozy. The next book I have here is Lord Jim by Joseph Conrad. I've only read Heart of Darkness, and I read it years ago for my first year of university. I'm very intrigued to see more of Conrad's work, but Lord Jim, I know, follows this man, and he's aboard a ship when it starts to sink. He, I believe, is the first mate, and so he jumps off and he survives the wreck while basically his ship and his crew all perish, and he has this immense survivor's guilt basically following him into this new land where he is in exile after I think he washes up on the shore. But from there we follow him really making his fortune and kind of naming himself Lord Jim, and he builds up this sort of paradise and kingdom of his own where he's Lord Jim. Everything's going great, he's living his best life, and then of course it's all interrupted by a figure and a person from his past who completely dismantles and dismembers this fantasy and this persona that he's built up. So this is a book that you guys, a lot of you guys have recommended to me, and that is Hopscotch by Julio Cortázar. I'm really excited about this. This sounds like exactly my kind of story. So what I know about this book, we are following an Argentinian writer, and he is living in Paris with his mistress and a group of friends who call themselves the Club. But then things start to go awry. We have the death of a child, his mistress disappears, and he is forced back to Buenos Aires to work. And he starts to find work as a multitude of different strange things. For example, he works by turns as a salesman, a keeper of a circus cat that can count, and an attendant in an insane asylum. So yeah, it's basically all about his adventures, I guess, hopscotching to and fro from these different jobs, trying to find work, and I guess basically his life and how these jobs affect him. So I'm so interested. I've heard so many good things about this. What is the first sentence? Did I even read you the first? I keep forgetting. The first sentence is just, would I find La Maga? Question mark. All right, we also have another book designed by the lovely Maureen, a subscriber, the same one who sent me Phantom of the Opera. This time, look at this. It is absolutely stunning. She designed the play, right? I think this is a play. It's another French play, Cyrano de Bell Shrek by Edmond Rostand. Help. She also wrote a very lovely note inside. Thank you so much. I cannot wait to read this. I'm like in love with your cover design. Can you please design all the books in my life for the rest of my life? Thank you so much. I really have no clue what this is about. I'm quite excited to find out. I think it's a very famous play, but yeah, I love it. I'm in love. Thank you so much. Next, we have The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa. I really want to read this book. You guys know. Did you hear that? That was my tummy. I'm so sorry, I have not had breakfast. You guys know, as I was saying, that I absolutely adore books that entangle themselves with math and science and physics and weird stuff like that. So this one sounds so interesting. I don't know if you can see like the little math formulas on the cover, but we follow a housekeeper and her son who go to work for a man named the Professor. He was a brilliant mathematician in his day, but since suffering a terrible brain injury, he only has, I think, about 8 minutes of 80 minutes, okay. 80 minutes of memory. So even though he can't remember very much, and of course they have to reintroduce themselves every morning, they start to communicate through math and formulas and numbers, which the professor can still kind of remember and hold on to more and more. So their whole world is expressed through math and numbers, which I just find so interesting. I love it. I cannot wait to read this. It looks like it's going to be absolutely brilliant and heartbreaking, and I'm so interested. Chapter 1 begins, "We called him the Professor." I've heard absolutely brilliant things about it, so that is the housekeeper and the professor. Oh boy, if I butcher anyone's name in this video, I feel like we have the highest chance of it being this author. This is a collection called The Turnip Princess and Other Newly Discovered Fairy Tales, and it is collected, I believe it was kind of put together in the 1850s when our compiler named Franz Xavier von Schwanwerth, thank you, ventured throughout Bavaria and collected fairy tales. So it says, with this volume, the holy trinity of fairy tales, the Brothers Grimm, Charles Perrault, and Hans Christian Andersen, becomes a quartet. Most of these were lost actually until a few years ago when I believe a whole box of these manuscripts was found in Germany. So a lot of these I'm very excited about because it says that they kind of upend the relationship between damsels in distress and their dragon slaying heroes, and they bring us closer to these rooted ideas in fairy tale, and they revolutionize our understanding of the genre. So I'm really excited. I also absolutely adore this cover work. I love this turnip princess, whoever she is. I think this is gonna be so fun. I absolutely love fairy tales, so very excited to have this on my shelf. The Turnip Princess begins, "One day a prince lost his way in the woods." I picked up Shirley by, I almost said Anne Bronte. It's definitely Charlotte Bronte. I've read The Professor and Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and I've heard Shirley is such a different experience. I believe it's her only historical novel. Recently, a lot of my friends, I think, have been picking it up, and I was just so intrigued to get into it. I'm actually going to be reading Jane Eyre this year, 2021, so I thought I might as well add this to my collection as well. But in Shirley, we're following this man called Robert. It's set, I believe, during the time of the Napoleonic Wars, yes, when economic hardship led to riots in the district of Yorkshire. So Robert Moore is a mill owner, and he's trying to revolutionize, I guess, his workers and his way of working through new technology. No one's really buying into it. At the same time, he's also having this tumultuous I guess relationship and time in his love life because he loves his cousin Carolyn? Yes, but he's also very enamored with the rich Shirley, who's very well off and could help him, I guess, find solutions to his business problems. But I'm actually very much looking forward to it because I know Shirley is, I think, mostly or quite subtly about the friendship between Shirley, the very well-off woman, and Carolyn, who loves Robert, who is also Robert's cousin. So it's about their friendship, what they're going through, what they're doing, essentially, I guess, behind the scenes, and I'm really, really looking forward to this book. I think it's going to be absolutely beautiful, breathtaking, so that is Shirley. Chapter 1. Of late years, an abundant shower of curates has fallen upon the north of England. They lie very thick on the hills. Every parish has one or more of them. They are young enough to be very active and ought to be doing a great deal of good. We have The Human Stain by Philip Roth. Philip Roth is an author who sounds extremely familiar to me, although to be quite honest, I have no idea what The Human Stain is about. I know we have a professor, I think, working at a college, and his colleagues out the scandal about him of some sort, and he's forced to retire, even though we know, I think on the back says that the scandal, the charge put against him, is an outright lie. It's not true. But we also have this writer who goes and pursues our professor and gets him to reveal or finds out for himself the secret that this professor has been keeping for years from people who are closest to him, from his wife and his children and his colleagues and his students. And then it's about this writer fleshing out who this man actually was. So, haven't heard too much about it. I've actually never heard about it. Okay, I'm very excited about this work of science fiction that is on here, and that is The Three-Body Problem by Cixin Liu. So, I've heard lots of good things. This is an extremely famous sci-fi novel, but basically this is set in China during the years of the Chinese Cultural Revolution. Oh my gosh. Oh, my books just fell. As I was saying, it's set during the Chinese Cultural Revolution, and essentially we have the secret military base that's trying to establish contact with aliens, an alien force. they succeed. Unfortunately, this alien force is on the brink of destruction of where they hail from, and so they've now discovered Earth and are moving very fast on their way to Earth to claim it as their own, to inhabit it, and essentially make humanity, I guess, do their bidding and essentially pave the way for them to have a new home. So then we have Earth divide into two factions. One half of humanity is longing to welcome these superior beings, do their bidding, just pave the way for them, make it all nice. And of course the other half is rebelling against this, trying to save humanity, trying to preserve Earth as our planet, and does not want the alien invasion to happen at all. So I'm super interested. This is of course the winner of the Hugo Award, and I'm very much looking forward to this. It looks so interesting. Chapter 1 is called The Madness Years, China 1967. The Red Union had been attacking the headquarters of the April 28th Brigade for 2 days. I also received the lovely Arcturus edition of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I love Frankenstein. I would love to reread it as soon as possible. I absolutely love this edition as well, so thank you so much. You will rejoice to hear that no disaster has accompanied the commencement of an enterprise which you have regarded with such evil forebodings. Oh my gosh, if only you knew. Okay, this book might be one of the ones I'm like most curious about. I just want to rip into this book and actually see what's in it, because this is Against Nature by Carl Huysmans. But this is the book. If you've read The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, this is the book that Dorian reads in Dorian Gray, and is one of the huge catalysts that push him on this way into this world that he descends into of madness and debauchery and aestheticism and like just wanting the beauty and pleasure of life and nothing more. So I'm so interested, because this is the book that Oscar Wilde is like, this is what happens to Dorian. This book sets him off a little bit as part of the reason that he sets off on this disastrous path in his life. So I'm a little bit scared, also very intrigued, but published in 1884, one of the works of the decadent movement. I'm so excited. I know we're following a protagonist in here who wants to escape Paris and what he perceives as the vulgarity of modern life and the people around him. So he holds himself up, shuts himself up in his private museum, where he just surrounds himself with beautiful works of arts and literature and sculpture and all of this fine artwork, I guess. We have Japanese ghost stories. This is an extremely beautiful volume by Lafcadio Hearn. I'm so excited about this. I've been wanting to add more to my mythology and folklore shelf, because I really don't have a lot outside of quite a lot of Greek and Roman mythology, but I just want to branch out so much more. I'm so excited. This is so beautiful. Let me show you the inside. It is absolutely, it is so nice. Look, I love it. So yeah, I'm just absolutely so excited for what this holds. I can't wait to get into this. So that is another book. I have Legacy by Susan Kay. Now, I've never branched out and explored anything else by Susan Kay, although she is one of the authors of one of my favorite books, Phantom, which is about the Phantom of the Opera's whole life and backstory. So I'm so interested to see what the rest of her works hold. Legacy is another historical fiction. This time it is about Queen Elizabeth I, and basically her backstory, her time coming to power, her rivalry with Queen Mary of Scots, or no, Mary Queen of Scots, I guess, and basically the men, I think, what is it? Yes, the 3 men who loved her. So going through her life, her power, her time as ruler, what she did, and everything like that. So I'm really interested to see how this goes. The first sentence in the prologue is, "He was only a small rat, but bolder than most, with a disproportionately long tail which curled behind him on the stone floor, losing itself in the half gloom of a solitary candle's light." This is one that I'm just absolutely so excited about. It is Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. He wrote my favorite novel that I read in 2020, 100 Years of Solitude, and this is actually not only, of course, his prized novel, but this actually comes with illustrations by Luisa Rivera, and they are just absolutely stunning. Let me show you. Like, oh my goodness. I was waiting for this to be released. Came out this year, or 2020, and Oh my gosh, I don't want to know what the synopsis is about. Of course, I have a vague idea about the love story that goes on in here, but I don't want to know anything more than that because it just was the right way to do it for me in 100 years, and I can't wait to read this, see how it holds up for me to 100 years of solitude, and I'm just absolutely over the moon about this. And this has a very famous first sentence, I think. It was inevitable. The scent of bitter almonds always reminded him of the fate of unrequited love. Oh. Next up, I love this. Thank you so much to the lovely person who sent this to me. This is Rilke's Letters to a Young Poet, but of course it's in French. It's Lettres à un jeune poète, and I'm so excited. This made its way from Quebec to here, so thank you so much. I have none of Rilke's works. Well, now I have one of them in French, and I think it is just the perfect excuse and opportunity to get back in once again, practice my French, read more of Rilke, of course, and see what he's like in another language. He did write a bit in French as well, so that's interesting, but yeah, I'm just so happy about this. We also have a very little book. It is called The Happy Prince and Other Tales. These are by Oscar Wilde. It's so cute. I'm not really sure what this is about. Are these his fables, I think? I absolutely am just so looking forward to it. I read so many works of Wilde in 2020, and I'm just, yes, it's so cute, it's so lovely. Yes. Next, I picked up Westwood by Stella Gibbons. I always want to say Stella Gibson. Anyway, Westwood Gibbons has been called the Jane Austen of 19th century literature. This one sounds extremely like a Jane Austen plot because we have two sisters. What's the first one's name? Margaret, and she is a very plain, bookish girl. Her mother's constantly kind of just digging at her love life and insulting her and saying like, oh, you're not gonna get any men. And then we have her sister Hilda, who's basically the polar opposite. She has a very vibrant love life. She's very attractive, she's very popular, outgoing, and all this changes when Margaret discovers a notebook of a writer on Hampstead Heath, and it turns out to be the writer Gerard Chalice. So Margaret just absolutely falls head over heels for this writer. Unfortunately, Chalice is attracted to Hilda, and Hilda doesn't even really notice Chalice or really care too much about him. So it sounds like it's going to be quite the romantic comedy love triangle Austen-esque tale. So that is Westwood. I absolutely adore this cover design. It's vintage, of course it is. It's the vintage edition. I just love their work. I love their work. Anyway. Stoner by John Williams, a book I've been meaning to read for quite a long time. A lot of people list this as their favorite book, one of their favorite books. Sounds devastating, sounds heartbreaking. We're following William Stoner, and he's pursuing agronomy at college. He soon finds that his passion is actually English literature, switches over, and things don't go well for him from there. He marries, and this marriage estranges him from his family, but then eventually his wife and his daughter turn so coldly away from him, and we just follow a series of his tragedies from there. I have no idea really what it entails more than that, but from what I heard, it is completely devastating. William Stoner entered the University of Missouri as a freshman in the year 1910 at the age of 19. I am so excited about this next one. It is The Buried Giant by Kazuo Ishiguro. Oh my god, I've just been waiting so long to get more into Ishiguro's work, but The Buried Giant just sounds so interesting. He deals with so many works of memory and loss of memory. There's this huge mist in The Buried Giant, I know, which were set in post-Arthurian times, I believe, in Britain, yes. And there's this mist that causes amnesia as it kind of drifts over the land. And we're following this couple, Beatrice and Axel. They're an elderly British couple, and they have just set off on this journey to get to their son, to go visit him. They haven't seen him in years, but of course, as this mist sweeps across the land, they begin to forget why they're even voyaging, who they're going to see. And so it's this quest of memory and trying to hold on to your past and your memory and your family and your friends and everything like that. I think I'm not really sure what to expect, but knowing Ishiguro is just gonna be absolutely breathtaking. His works, like, I've only read When We Were Orphans, but it just absolutely gave me like goosebumps. Chapter 1, you would have searched a long time for the sort of winding lane or tranquil meadow for which England later became celebrated. This next one is going to be a bit of a ride because it is a book by Markzed Danielewski, who wrote House of Leaves, one of my favorite novels, but this is Only Revolutions, and of course, going along with the staple of Markzed Danielewski, strangeness and oddity, you flip it over, and of course it is the same book. Yeah, okay, we see what he did there, but when you actually open it up, we have this whole section that has to be read in a mirror, I guess, if you would like to read that, but then we go on and we find that you can actually read one half of this book this way, and then of course you must turn the book over. So if you've read House of Leaves or anything else by him, that is quite something that he does a lot. I have no idea what this is about. The synopsis is so vague. It just says that we're following this couple, compares them to Romeo and Juliet, and essentially they're trying to race throughout time and history to outrun history or something like that. So they travel across the world and do a whole bunch of probably weird, crazy things. So yeah, I don't know what to expect from this. I never do. I'm always scared stepping into a Danielewski book, but that is Only Revolutions. We have My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. This is a piece of Italian literature. I'm not really sure what to expect. I know we're set in 1950s, I think a little bit outside of Naples, and this follows two friends who grow up together, they're childhood friends, and it follows them, I think, throughout their whole lives, what they're going through, how they survive, what their changing world, and of course 1950s Italy, how it impacts them. We are following, what are their names? Elena and Lila. So through the lives of these two girls, Ferrante gives her readers the story of a neighborhood, a city, and a country undergoing momentous change. And that's all I know. I would love to get more into Italian literature. If anyone has any recommendations, please always let me know. I've never even heard of Ferrante, so this is going to be so interesting. We have a couple, actually, David Mitchell books on this haul, which I'm so excited about. The first one is Number 9 Dream. I absolutely love this. I feel like I'm matching with the cover today, but David Mitchell is one of my favorite authors. It's been a while since I've stepped back into one of his creations, and I'm so excited for all of them. But Number 9 Dream, we have this young man, his beloved sister has died in an accident, and so he lives with his grandmother, and he lives on this outer island of Japan. I think he picks fruit all day on his grandma's property, yes, but he has a father that he knows lives in Tokyo, and so he spends his time thinking and fantasizing and idolizing what it might be like to meet his father and to go and live with his father in Tokyo. So one day, that's what he decides to do. He sets off for Tokyo, but he stumbles upon the hidden power centers of the Japanese underworld. So he gets a little bit sidetracked, but it says, what do survival, the nature of dreams, and the number 9 all have to do with one another? I don't know, David Mitchell. I guess we're gonna find out. We have The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, another Neil Gaiman I haven't read. I know basically next to nothing about this one, but we have this man who returns to his childhood home for a funeral, and I think it's magical realism. That's all I know. I'm so excited. I didn't know it was so short, so I'm really interested to see what happens in this one, but that is The Ocean at the End of the Lane. We have The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde by Junot Diaz. Once again, I've heard a little bit about this, not too much, but I'm very excited to see what this holds. We have Oscar, our protagonist, and he describes himself as a nerd. He dreams of becoming the Dominican Tolkien and most of all finding love, but I know there's also a curse that's set upon his family, so it makes these goals extremely hard to achieve, as it would. So we just follow him and his family from the Dominican Republic going to the United States, and I think back again. So I'm really excited to read this one. I've heard beautiful, heartbreaking things about it, so that is that one. And finally, the last book on this book haul, we have Slate House by David Mitchell. Yes, I picked this one up because, of course I did. This sounds extremely similar. It's compared on the back to The Haunting of Hill House, The Shining, in the sense that we're following Slate House, which of course is one of those locations where people go in and they don't really come out. So every 9 years, the residents of Slate House extend an invitation to someone who's different. So it says at first when you enter this house, I'm just so excited to see his take on the haunted house trope, but when you enter, you love it there. You don't want to leave, and then you find out you can't leave. So So scary. I'm so excited about this. That is the last book of this book haul. Oh my goodness, we finally did it. Thank you so much for watching. If you've read any of these, I'm so overwhelmed. Please let me know which ones I should start with. And a huge thank you once again, first of all, for watching, just for being here. And if you sent me any of these books, I just thank you. I love you so much. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I feel like all of these just fit my taste so perfectly. So I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I shall see you very soon in my next video. I can't wait to dive into literally all of these. So yeah, I hope you're having a wonderful day as usual. Ciao.